Hey there, friends. Let me see if I can frame this camera up a little bit better. Yeah, not bad. I'm going to be in the darkness. We're going to keep the lighting low in here, but there's not a lot going on other than Saturn in frame. So this should do for now. Oh, hearing an echo. Oh, there we go. All right, so I will say, after a little bit of time and fighting our seeing conditions a little bit, I think we got the image in focus pretty well, or at least as well as we can do. Every so often you see the image clear up as seeing in our atmosphere improves, and you can even see the presence of the ring band going through Saturn's equator, kind of popping out a little bit there. At least I think that's what we're seeing. It seems to be right through the center from ring to ring. You can see that, that effect. I will say that if you look towards what is the northern hemisphere of Saturn, I'll point it out on the view here. Look up in this region and you will see the transit happening. Just the shadow. You really can't make out Titan just given the resolution. I'm not even seeing any presence of Titan at all across the surface of the planet. It is in front of Saturn right now, and then casting the shadow onto the surface right behind it. But I am not really seeing that whatsoever. Maybe with a stack, it'll pick out things that my eyes aren't seeing in the clear frames. That's possible, but as of right now, I'm really only seeing that shadow. So you're looking up towards the top of the planet. At the moment, I'm working on some quick stacks to see if I can pull some more detail out of this to show you. So I'll see what I can do there in the background while we get the live view. Our telescope's tracking pretty well. I haven't had to make too many adjustments tonight. Let me know if my audio is good too. I did monitor it before and it sounded okay, but I am using a different mic setup on this system, so let me know if there's anything wrong with the audio. I will monitor chat in a little bit. For now, I'm just going to focus on collecting some data. Push this zoom in a little bit. Yeah, that's a little better. Let's try that. And as I mentioned in the comments, I suspect as we get closer and closer to the center, that shadow will pop out a little bit more, but it is going to stay up towards the north pole of Saturn tonight. It's not going to creep down anywhere. So when I say center, I mean from where it started, heading towards the central axis of the planets. It's not going to ever creep down towards the rings or anything like that. Just going straight across the northern pole of Saturn. In fact, at this time, we are kind of at the center. Is that right? Oh, no, not quite. We're meandering. About another hour or so, we'll be at the center, or as close to the center as we are going to get. So we do have, there is a chance it will improve a little bit, because as it creeps towards the center, that part of Saturn is more, as directly as the North Pole of Saturn can face us, that's the part that does. So that gives us a good chance as well. All right, let's see if I can stack some of our data. For those who are new to Kopernik's live streams, welcome. Happy to have you here this evening. We're observing the transit of Titan, Saturn's largest moon, across Saturn. And we're noticing that dark spot, the shadow of the moon right towards the North Pole of Saturn. bring it up here, you'll see a dark spot fade in and out every so often, right in here at the North Pole. Make sure you see my mouse there. There we go. So right at the North Pole, we have this dark spot, and that is the shadow of Titan. We'll talk more about why the image is coming in and out as well. I do want to try this data capture. Let's try that. Okay, open. Okay. I'm running some data through some stacking software, AutoStacker, to see if I am pretty well focused with the current setup, and also see if anything else pops out, like the shadow, like some of Saturn's surface detail. Just want to get a sense of the conditions I am working with this evening. I'm really pushing my laptop to its limits today. Oh, that's not terrible. I think that was early data though. Let's try another packet. Oh yeah, that shadow is starting to become more apparent. It's never going to be crystal clear with our current conditions tonight, but we will be able to see it trek across a little bit. Our conditions at Kopernik can be better than this. It's pretty dark tonight, which is good. No moon in our way at the moment. And Saturn is also pretty high up in the sky, which helps. You're not looking through as much as the atmosphere. But even still, whatever atmosphere is there is pretty turbulent. It's not the best conditions for imaging. And we will rarely, at our New York site here, get to conditions perfect for planetary viewing. But I am seeing frames come in and out once in a while that do look pretty decent. And that's the thing with stacking is our goal here is to watch for those frames. You basically record a whole bunch of them over the course. So right now I'm doing 1,000 frames collected at a time. So I collect those 1,000 frames, and then the stacking software will choose, okay, what's quality frames, what's low quality frames. And right now I'm focused on the upper 25% of quality frames that we're targeting to collect and then stack and pull an image together. And there are definitely frames in the view as you watch the live stream that do pop out where you get a little more detail. You see those rings stretching across the equator and you see that shadow pop out a bit more. Those are the ones we want. Let's see how we're doing. Oh, a few more frames left to collect. And then we'll try pushing this one through the processor. Saturn's really dancing around though tonight. Almost there. Okay, let's see what that data looks like. Okay, place and analyze. And let me just take a quick look at the chat here while my software runs its course. Joseph says, hopefully this goes well. I hope so too. Don't we all? All right, and we'll stack that one up. All right, the data's there in the stacked image, but I'm not loving how it dealt with the shadow. So let's play with the focus a bit more. I wonder if I can throw those frames up. I'll have to think about how I want to do that to show you the frames in OBS. Let's just get the focus maybe a touch better. Again, we might just be dealing with the limits of the sky. That's my assumption at the moment. But you never know. You can always try adjusting focus and see what happens. And for those who didn't catch our other Saturn live stream earlier, or I guess I should say yesterday, oh, this isn't a bad focus. This looks a little better. Yeah, it's popping up a little bit more. But yeah, if you didn't catch our Saturn live stream we did Friday for our Friday night program, you can always go back. We added some chapters to skim through different sections. And there we talked about this event, the transit of Titan, but we also talked about the rings in general, and why they appear to be disappearing, why they're so like needlepoint right now, as you can see on our live stream. And they're only going to continue to get thinner and thinner and thinner from our perspective on Earth. So that whole stream's available to you to check out and learn more about Saturn as a fall observing target. Oh, look at those seeing conditions. Not fun. I am tempted to try the monochrome camera and see what happens. See if we can get a little more, maybe a less noisy image would be my only hope with that. Because yeah, it's just not pulling focus to where I need it to. Especially compared to the last time I imaged with this rig. It might just be the seeing conditions, like I said, aren't as good, but even there, that image comes out a bit nicer. I can try throwing that in. Oh, what's the other software called? Forgotten already. All right, where is that? Let's minimize this. Oh, where'd our Saturn go? Hang on. Are you seeing Saturn on your end? Oh yeah, you are. Okay. Just a hiccup. Oh, I know why it's doing that. Okay, let's back out of this. Open this, and we'll open this back up. It's just because I minimized it that I got all confused. All right. Actually, now that I've sharpened that raw data up, I'm not as mad at that. Yeah, actually that looks kind of nice. That sharpened the shadow right up. Ah, how can I best do this? Maybe if I just do, let's try this. Window capture. Oh, there's a spider crawling on me. Oh dear. Everything's fine. Okay, hopefully you can kind of see that a little bit. I popped in our stacked image. Oops. See if I can blow it up even a bit more. It's going to get a little fuzzy, but that's okay. Yeah. So in that lower left corner, you see the latest stacked image. And that shadow is very visibly popping out in that view. So that is about 250 frames stacked together. The best data that we're getting of 250 frames. On a night like tonight, it might even be wiser to do more like 10% because it is a little bit soft to my eye here. So there, I really push the sharpening now. So that does, I think I'm overdoing it with that sharpening level, but especially because the rings are now green. But at least you can really start to notice that shadow effect. Let's take some more data. Although I want to watch it for a second to see if it's behaving the way I want. I need to adjust focus. On a night like tonight, it's kind of like adjust focus, watch it for a moment, see if, as you watch it, see if you get enough frames with the detail that you want. So in that case, really looking for the shadow, how many frames are popping out that look clear, and then go again. Adjust and see if that improves it. That looks a little bit better, I think. I'm seeing that shadow a bit more now. Let's just go a little deeper. Because with the seeing, you're kind of fighting focus here. So you're just trying to see it, get an average amount of frames that look clear to you. Even that doesn't look bad. I feel like I am noticing the shadow more. Let's try this focus level, and then at that point we're going to leave it alone because I would like to collect a few frames of the transit events after stacking. Take a look at the live chat, see if anything's come through. Oh my gosh, someone donated $50. Thank you. We really appreciate that. Grace says, I wonder if Titan will get lost in the bright background of Saturn's disk, since we are at opposition, so I expect the disk would be brighter. Yeah, I think between that and you're talking the way the sunlight is directed on the planet right now, the side that's facing, or the way the light is cast on the planet at the moment, its direct light is really at the equator. But it's pretty balanced at the North and South Pole too. And in general, yeah, Saturn's disk is pretty bright. So I think I'm right there with you that we don't really have enough contrast to work with Titan itself. It's similar enough in color that I doubt we'll really be able to make it out. Maybe after stacking, like I said, stacking and processing, we might be able to glean a little bit of Titan just underneath that shadow. But I'm not super confident in the frames that I am seeing that we'll be able to do that. You never know. Saturn's rings actually really do look quite green on this view. That's interesting. Let's scoot this over here. I was using a Barlow at one point. There have been times where I've been able to use a Barlow for imaging planets at Kopernik. Tonight is not one of those nights. It's just too bouncy and blurry up there. The seeing is just not great enough. Oops. Hang on. There we go. So again, that lower left-hand image is just a very quick stack. It really shows you, after sharpening the rings up a bit and getting that shadow to pop, it shows you how needle-like those rings are at the moment. And while they won't, or arguably in perfect sky conditions, they would not disappear at all come November, they will get even thinner than this from our perspective. And if it's a night like tonight, my guess is the rings really wouldn't shine very much at all in the telescope view. What else can we do here to sharpen this all up? Maybe a bit of denoising. Either way, my goal for tonight was to get a picture of this transit event, and I did that, so I am at least happy we've made it that far. If we can get a few frames and kind of piece together a little loop of a movie showing that transit cross, even better. But for now, I'm happy that we at least got one image that shows the transit event. Especially given the sky conditions, because they are a little bit rough tonight. How many more times can I say that? I am not salty at all. And looking at the chat again. Hello, Mark. Good to see ya. Or if you're new to the channel, sorry, we have a few Marks at Kopernik and on our live stream. I'm not recognizing the last name, I guess. So, welcome if you're brand new. And thank you, Grace, for joining the stream tonight. It's a late one, but kind of an exciting one. It's different. We wish we could do a lot more of these live streams. Unfortunately, we just don't really get the chance to as much. This part is really not my day job. I do work full-time at Kopernik, but I actually do work during the daytime hours. So balancing that can be a challenge. And wherever we can, we're happy to get these streams out so that you can enjoy our skies with us. The other trouble we have is that we don't usually get to just have a set rig to observe astronomical events like this. We're using the 6-inch tonight, And this is a late event. This works out well. The 6-inch isn't in use. But I do have to rig it up with all the camera equipment and haul the laptop equipment out here too. It's like set up, tear down every single time. Just kind of like if you have your own personal telescope, it's not too different from that. But it is quite a bit of troubleshooting sometimes. Tonight I was a little bit late again because we had some camera issues and then some laptop problems, and that just comes with not having a steadfast setup that you use frequently and is always available to you. It's always like, okay, we're going to piece things together and then we're going to tear them down and then we'll do the same again. But that's the nature of sharing the observatory. All right, it's maybe time for another. Let's see where the shadow is. Yeah, kind of heading towards center. Getting there. Let's take another 1,000 frames. If anyone has any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. I might run inside in a moment and grab a snack. The more I look at that image, though, the more I'm kind of happy with it. You can really... The data was there to piece together some detail of Saturn's surface itself and also piece together the rings passing through the center, the equator of Saturn. And of course the shadow of Titan is really what we're all here for. It's those green rings that I find interesting. At least to my eye, they look greenish yellow. Oh, Mark, that's a very specific question. It's a good question. It's just very, not one I know off the top of my head. How far is Neptune away from Saturn right now? I think how best I could figure that out. I have an idea. If you go into Stellarium, you can bounce around to different objects. So if I change my location from Earth to Saturn, and then go looking for Neptune, it should give me a distance measurement of its current distance live. That's probably my best action I can try. Let's see what happens. We gotta find things to do while we collect data, you know? Okay, we're on Saturn now. Let's go to Neptune, right? And, oh dear, I need to adjust what shows up in the info. Bear with me. I have the shorthand information. There we go. All available. Actually, short, but we're going to include distance. Okay. I got some answers for you. So, if you are on Saturn right now, Neptune would be about 20 astronomical units away from Saturn. So astronomical unit is one average Earth-Sun distance. So Saturn and Neptune are 20 times further away from each other than the Earth is from the Sun, is one way to look at that. Fun question. All right, let's try another attempt at with the latest data. What do we get? Nope, that's not right. Hang on. 920. Saturn. Oh, it doesn't like to open these video files. Let me try it this way. This should be the latest. Pop that in there. And we'll analyze that. And you know what, let's do a 10% stack this time. And a 25, why not? We'll do both. And hey, with that, we'll go 50 stack too. Okay. Stack those up, friend. This is just bouncing around all sorts of different software tonight to see what we can get up from Saturn this evening. I'm running through another stacking session to see what... Oh, looks like that's done. Is it? Yeah, that's all done. Okay. Let's try the 10% stack. We bring that into here. It's thinking, okay. That's kind of nice. What does that look like on our stream? Yeah, so we just ran through another stack, and that's looking even better. I like that. Yeah, that shadow's nice and sharp. That's the latest data. Okay, we're gonna roll with that. See, as we got towards the center, the shadow did become much more prominent. Yeah. You know, here I was with my first view of Saturn tonight, and I was really worried that it wasn't going to come out all that nice. And look at that, we are heading into the dome. That's why it's fading. It's been longer than I thought. If you hear that noise, that is just the dome adjusting. Now we should have a little better view again. Yep. Take some more data. While this next round goes, I'm going to head inside and grab a snack. But the stream will stay up as is. Let's just do this. Bring this down some. Okay, and yeah, so we'll have the stream just as is, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, and we're back. I got my snack, so I'm good to go. I didn't realize how much I needed to warm up too. Because it's, what is the temperature now? Ooh, it is chilly. It's a little bit warmer in the dome. I think the brick around the dome that may have gotten warmed up by the sun today was giving some heat for a while, but now I think I am starting to feel that 50-degree weather. It's okay though, because we really won't be streaming for too much longer. I'm thinking even around 3 o'clock we might start to wrap things up, because at that point the shadow isn't going to be as apparent. But we'll see how things play out. The goal here is to image that effect with the shadow. We'll have plenty of other opportunities to image Saturn when it's got these needle-like rings coming up. And maybe even get some clearer nights too. Whew, there's a draft now. It is getting chilly. Oh, I see there is some questions that popped up in here. Oh my gosh, I understand what you mean. The apparent position of Neptune. Mark asks, I kind of meant visually. That makes sense. I went a completely different direction with your question, but that makes sense. I do remember seeing in Stellarium at one point the how close Neptune is to Saturn. With our current rig, I likely will not be able to find it all that easily. It would require me to hop over to one of the other observatories that is all closed up tonight. But again, something we could try in the future. So maybe with the 14-inch we'd have better success there. Because the trouble is, with this telescope it's all manual, and I cannot see Neptune in the sky. Maybe I could make out its point in the finder scope. Let's see if there's anything popping there. Possibly. Let me see where it is positioned. Neptune is really faint. I have observed Neptune in the 20-inch telescope when it was a visual scope. It was pretty small, which it's gonna be, but Saturn, where are you? There you are. Oh yeah, they are pretty close tonight. Well, I guess they will be for a little bit yet. Not gonna change their position all too much. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, I missed that question from Mr. Bangles. Why are there two objects? So one of them, the one in the center, is the live feed out of the camera directly. The one on the lower left is the processed image. So what we're doing during this stream, that live feed is straight out of our Planetary camera. And we can set that camera up to record however many frames we want at a time. So I have it set up at a given moment when I hit run, it will record 1,000 frames. And once it's collected those 1,000 frames, I can go through and put them into some stacking software. So you put them into some stacking software, based on what you command it to. I have it set up to take the best 10%, the best 25%, and the best 50% of those 1,000 frames and give me stacked images. So it's measuring the quality of those frames, only giving us the best ones when it stacks them, and in that way gives us the best data to create an image from. So after that, then you go through post-processing and you can do things like sharpen the image, denoise the image, and once you've done that, it gives you a view like you have in the lower left-hand corner. So that was from maybe a half hour ago, that image that we're seeing there. And I can run through the process again. I'm not sharing these screens, but this is something that we could show you sometime. That's not to say what we're doing is any sort of proprietary thing. Literally, you can just go on YouTube and search some planetary stacking tutorials, and there's some amazing ones out there. But I just don't have OBS currently configured to show us this at the moment. I'm kind of keeping things simple this evening. So once this... Okay, I just got new data, a new batch of 1,000 frames. So I'm going to take that data now, and I'm going to start stacking it, and I'll let you know when we get the new image. Okay. Put this in here. Yeah, so this is data from 232, 1,000 frames. The image hasn't populated yet. Again, I'll let you know, but we're getting there. I've looked and analyzed those frames. Now I'm going to stack them in batches of different quality levels. Okay, we stacked one more round of the 50% quality. Okay, so now I'm going to load up that latest frame. Oh, I think it's still working on it. There it goes. I think it's this one, because I should have 4 in the other one. No, 3, okay. And then I should have 2 in here. Yeah, that makes sense. Nope, not that. So now the image that's going to come out of here is newer. So I just updated to a new frame that was captured at 232 in the lower left-hand corner. So compared to if you skip back a little bit in the YouTube stream, go back in time a little, you will see that we were originally that shadow was a little more centered. Now it's moved offset a little bit, and it's working its way to the other side of Saturn there. Well, let's see what else is going on in the chat. Mr. Bingle says, Titan has liquid hydrocarbons on its surface, right? That is true. Titan is a very interesting moon. It's the second largest moon in the solar system. It's 1.5 times larger than our moon. It has a nitrogen-rich atmosphere, and it rains methane. So these hydrocarbons, it rains them down on the surface and collects into rivers and lakes and ponds and all sorts of things, just like we have here on Earth. But the reason that exists in that form at all, in the liquid form, is because of the cold temperatures on Titan, hundreds of degrees lower than the temperatures here on Earth. So while methane is a gas in our atmosphere, on Titan it's a liquid. It's a fascinating world. We did talk more about Titan in our talk for Friday night that was about Saturn and about events like this. So you're welcome to check that out too, but yeah, Titan's super interesting. I'm realizing I'm reading your questions out of order, but that's okay. We'll get through them. Oh, you're very welcome, Matthew. We are happy to provide this stream to you tonight. It would be really cool to explore Titan, and NASA is sending a spacecraft to Titan in 2028, I believe. It's really a drone that's going to fly around on Titan and explore the surface. And yeah, so we'll get a better sense of what Titan is like. But it won't be the first spacecraft to visit the surface of Titan. That goes to the Huygens probe. That was part of the Cassini mission. And that landed on the surface, but it was just a probe. So it landed, it stayed in place. It was able to take some pictures on the way down. That's how we have the best images we have of Titan close to the surface come from the Huygens probe, and shows you things like those lakes and rivers. It looks eerily like Earth because of all that active liquid moving across its surface. Its geology is eerily similar. And yes, it will have a camera on board. In fact, I think it will have several, not just for collecting data and imaging the surface, that's important, but also it's going to need camera gear on board to navigate. This is going to be the most sophisticated aircraft ever sent to another world. And really, there's only been one other successful attempt at that. The Ingenuity helicopter got to explore Mars for a few years as part of the Perseverance mission. And that was really a first experiment to see, okay, could we do this? Can we send a helicopter of sorts and have this powered flight craft explore Mars. And it did. It was very successful for what was really just an experiment. And now, with this technology, they're confident that with Titan, having an even thicker atmosphere, they'll be able to explore with this powered drone that's significantly bigger than Ingenuity. So that's the long answer to your question, but yes, they will have lots of cameras on board to analyze its surroundings. It's going to launch in 2028, but given the time it takes to get to these outer planets, and also it's different if you're just trying to, like, bird's eye, we're flying to this object. The trick here is you got to slow down and you got to land on it, and that takes a bit longer. So that's going to get there in 2034 is the current projection. I'm collecting a new batch of data now. Once we have 1,000 frames, we'll give you another image to work with. Because given the live feed, it's pretty fuzzy, right? And that's just because of the limitations we're working with tonight with the sky. Now, you won't ever really get as clear of a view in one instance as the stacked image we have in the lower left, but conditions can be better in the sky to give you a clearer view. Tonight is not ideal observing conditions for planetary viewing, and we're really fighting against that. But I think it's important, though, to kind of keep those frames in the lower left updating, the stacked processed images, so that you can get a better sense of where that shadow is at a given time. So where are we with those frames? Oh, almost done with those 1,000 frames. We're getting there. And my hope is, little sneak peek as to what the plan is here, once we get a handful of frames of this event, we should be able to create a little animation showing you the transit event, the shadow. Some good soup, that's a fun name. Can you help me know where the shadow is? Yes. So what we'll do, here's what we'll do first. I'm going to give you an estimate of where it is on the live feed. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more too, so hopefully this is just digitally zooming, mind you. Actually, I'm going to zoom out for a second because I'm realizing we are starting to move quite a bit off center from the camera's framing. Oh yeah, quite a bit. So we're going to readjust this here. So we're more towards the center of the sensor. Okay, that's a bit better. Whoops, hang on. That's not what we wanted. Okay, now you should be able to see my mouse on your end. So when we're viewing this live, this is The live view is what you're seeing at the center of our live stream. So this right here is our live view. And if you look right where my mouse pointer is, hopefully you can see that okay. Watch that spot every once in a while. And you're going to see this dark zone, this dark little patch appear compared to the surrounding brightness of the planet. It's right up towards the North Pole there. So this is the North Pole of Saturn. This is the South Pole of Saturn. So we're looking right in here. And it's that little dark spot that is the transit event happening, Titan transiting this planet. So Titan is Saturn's largest moon, and it's kind of rare to see this in action because it's a pretty far out moon. So we have this tonight, and then October 4th or 6th, something like that, which is a much worse. I'm glad we're catching this right now. I wish we would have caught it a few weeks ago. We just couldn't get this live stream going in time because even there it was a little bit closer to the equator. Whereas this one and then the final transit event is going to be very close to the pole, which is not ideal for really spotting it, as we're seeing tonight. But then the next time Titan transits Saturn will be 2038, so ways off into the future. So I'm glad we're catching this now, because I likely won't do anything for that last transit event happening in October. This one's the better of the two, so we'll enjoy this while we can. But again, that's where you want to watch, right up towards this area, that little shadow flickering in and out. But as soon as this last batch of data comes through, I'm just waiting on 100 more frames to collect, I'm going to process a new image for you so that you can see what this looks like in higher detail. This current instance of Saturn in this transit event. The lower left-hand image, the one that looks much sharper, is processed. And every few minutes we're processing a new image to show you a clearer state of the transit event. So hopefully that helped you a little bit there, understand what's going on. It is a challenging, even like visually with your eyes, and of course with the camera system here, it is a challenging event to observe given the sky conditions. If the skies were a little bit clearer, it would result in a sharper image, giving us a better chance to see it, but tonight seeing conditions aren't ideal for planetary observing, at least instantaneous planetary observing. But if we take data that we collect, we can push it into some processing software, which I'm going to do now. You won't see this. I just don't have this screen set up to show you this all that well. But I'm going to take the data that we collected from just a few minutes ago. The data came in, the last frame came in at 2:48 a.m. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to work on stacking it to collect all the best frames together. And will be updated with a new image in the lower left-hand corner. All right, what do I want to do here? I want to then analyze all these frames. All things considered, I am pretty happy with how this is working. We're able to process frames pretty quick. I don't know if you can hear my laptop's fans blasting like crazy, but there's enough going on between streaming and capturing this event and processing images, and I have browser tabs open. Yeah, this laptop is pushing itself to the max at this point. Sounds like a jet engine. All right, did it analyze? Yep, now we're gonna stack those frames. And once we have a final stack, we will show you the new image and frame. This stacking part does take a little bit, not too long. Fast enough computer can usually get it done in a couple minutes, but actually I think it's done. Did it finish? I think it did. All right, let's see. And with a dynamic event like this, you really can't leave it focused on the object for too long. And so I couldn't really sit here for 10 to 15 minutes collecting data on this transit event, because at that point the shadow will have moved enough. And we're really trying to catch instances of this. So I'm keeping the frame count pretty low. And if we go to our new 10% quality level, let's see, medium icons. That's our third image. Yeah, okay. There should be a fourth now on this one. Is that correct? Medium. Yes, there's a fourth there. So this is our third. And we're going to map that into our post-processing software. And let's see where the shadow is now. All right, there is the new frame you should have. Let's see how that looks on your end. Yeah, so that's the new frame that just popped into view for you. And you will have noticed the shadow has moved along a little bit further through its transit across Saturn. Now, technically, Titan is moving across the surface as well. The problem is it's going to be difficult to spot. I might be seeing it if you look very carefully in that lower left-hand image, just to the right of the shadow. I think that's Titan, especially based on how the projection looks right now. I think maybe we're seeing some shape to Titan there. I don't think I'll be confident for sure until I piece together some kind of little video of these images together. And then maybe we'll see that artifact move across the surface, and that will be Titan. But yeah, as of right now, I'm not confident that that's officially Titan in view. The shadow, for sure, that dark patch in that lower left image is the shadow of Titan. But Titan itself, a little unclear if it's showing up there. As long as I'm still seeing the shadow, though, I am going to stick this out. It is still hanging on, so I'm not going to shut down the stream until that shadow disappears. If anyone else is just tuning in, feel free to post some questions or comments in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. Again, we are viewing the transit of Titan tonight. Now, really, all we're able to see is the shadow transit event. Titan is much more difficult to spot, especially in these sky conditions, but the shadow is readily apparent. If you have any questions about what you're looking at, why there's two images on the screen, one is a live feed right from the camera, and the other in the lower left is a processed image, our latest processed image from this event tonight, which happened just a few minutes ago when we processed that data. I'm actually really excited to piece together a little video. I think it's going to work okay. It's not going to be a long video. It'll just be like frame by frame. Boom, 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 boom. Here is the shadow transit. But I think that'll look pretty cool. In case you're wondering what software I'm using a whole mess of things. I'm using ASI Capture, because the camera I'm using comes from the company ASI. It's a ZWO one-shot color camera. And that's their software to capture data from the camera. So that's what I'm using to capture raw data, those 1,000 frames at a time. And that's our live feed that's being spat out right in the center of the view. And then once I get that raw 1,000 frames worth of video data, I then take that and push it into stacking software. Planetary stacking software I recommend, and many amateur astronomers would, is called AutoStackert. So AutoStackert is a wonderful planetary stacking platform. And it's really just toss your raw video data in, get your points aligned, and choose your quality settings, and then you get a stacked image. So after that, I then process the image in Registax. And that's really the software amalgam that we put together. Now, let's see. Grace says, I think I see Titan, reddish smudge trailing slightly behind the shadow. It shows up in your latest processed image. Let's see. I'm going to view it on my phone, because I can zoom in really easily there in the live stream. So let's hop on that. Gonna boost my brightness settings. Yeah, you know, maybe there is something there. Because, yeah, when you look at that shadow, I see what you mean. The actual shape of the shadow doesn't look like what you'd expect. It kind of has like this, it should be like a longer shadow. The way it's casting on the rings right now, it should stretch back a little bit along the rings because you're at the pole. Just like if we had eclipses here on Earth with our moon, solar eclipses specifically, that shadow would stretch across that. It's just the geometry, right, of a sphere and the shadow being cast on it. But the weird thing is, yeah, I see what you mean. There's kind of this extra bit off to the side that looks like it's trailing it. That, yeah, that very well might be Titan. Again, I think we'll have a better idea once I look frame by frame through each of these. We can get a better sense of if there's anything really truly following that compared to the surface of Saturn. So that comes with multiple advantages to record the shadow itself moving across and possibly providing evidence of Titan trailing behind. We'll see what the data reveals. But I think I'm in agreement with you there, Grace. Well, I'm going to shut down Stellarium because that's taxing my computer a little bit. What else we got here? I'm going to bring this up next and we'll get another batch of frames. I'm happy with where we got the focus tonight. It was a little bit turbulent, quite literally, in the sky. So it was a challenge finding the focus that would give us enough data to work with, but that's the best you can do on a night like this. You're just fighting the skies a bit. I think what I'll do is I'll get the dome adjusted again. What's cool is I think, yeah, tracking-wise, our scope's going to hang on just long enough to end this event, so I won't have to flip it around. Saturn is getting to that point in the sky where I have to consider that, but I have just enough room, I think, to eke out the rest of this event. But yeah, even looking out there right now, it's pretty muddy. Like, I'm very happy with the results we're getting based on, like, visually when I look up in the sky, it's a little bit hazy. All right. In the next few minutes, I'll take another round of 1,000 frames of data, and we'll process that again, see where that shadow's moved off to at this point. I just tried something that maybe you want to try too. Could be fun. If you click through different sections of the live stream, you can see in that lower left-hand corner that frame get updated again and again. And you can kind of put together a little time lapse by just clicking through the current live stream. So you're just either backtracking, like maybe I would go back to, let's see, 4655 looks like where the first image came in. Again, this is the image in the lower left. And then you can kind of skip through from there and see that shadow move across the surface. And that's my goal, is to eventually piece it all together so that we have a little video to pull from. Yes, meridian flip. Yep, we're getting to that point at this point. It's getting close, but like I said, I think we'll eke out enough time from the rig to not have to worry about that tonight. That is my hope. Let's see. I think this data I'm collecting right now is what we'll use to get a new image. Let me get that set up. We have this down to a science now. That's exactly what we want. This is more of an informal stream. My priority tonight was really collect the data. But I do want to look at ways that I can organize this a bit better too. think there's definitely opportunities to improve things. The telescope is getting awfully close to my face, I'm realizing. So I'm going to scoot back a little bit. Let's try that. Yeah, we still have the scope and frame that way, but it's not going to whack me in the face very slowly. So this is the end of the 6-inch, right? The telescope right here. You can see I wiggled the field of view. Oops, hang on. Jack Day says, greetings from, I am going to mispronounce that, Wenatchee, Washington? Super smoky here, cannot see much in the old C8. Oh, is it smoky out there? I don't think I knew that. I guess I haven't seen that in the news yet. And I imagine wildfires, most likely. Yeah, I know when the smoke from the Canadian wildfires have made it down here. This year we had it a couple times. It was a couple years back that it got really bad in the New York area. Yeah, there were, in theory, really strong nights available to us in the summer, but yeah, it's very sad to see. Not just from the astronomical perspective, but just all around. So I hope you stay safe out there, Jack. And I'm not certain how close you are and everything, but yeah, stay safe. Hello, welcome to the stream. All right, I think what I'll do now is I'll take our latest batch of data and update the frame in the lower left with a processed image. Bear with me. I'll let you know when that frame is updated. We're going to take the data from 3:09 a.m. Oh, that was the wrong file. There we go. Excuse you. Do not open that. It's not the right file. There we go. All right. You won't see my processing process on your end, but again, I will let you know when that lower left-hand frame is updated with the latest processed image. Okay. Time to stack. And then we will update the frame. All right, I think we got a new frame. Let's see what we're working with. Data's coming in now. It's just post-processing, and there's our sharpened data. So now the frame in the lower left has been updated to the data from 3:09 in the morning, so just a few minutes ago. So that shadow is going to start disappearing now as we head towards 3:30. Still hanging on, but it will eventually complete its transit events. And that will conclude tonight's live stream once we get to that point. As always, all of this imagery, at least tomorrow we'll probably get one frame out on our social platforms. So primary ones that we use are Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So look out for the single frame. And then I'll see when I'm able to piece together the little video of multiple Saturns, or multiple images of Saturn going frame by frame through this transit event. T-Studio says, Saturn looks so cool with the rings. I agree with you. And what's kind of the novelty right now is that those rings are nearly edge on. And we did just have a whole talk for our Friday night program that it is available on the YouTube channel. Oh, from Sarah. Oh, very good to see ya. Yeah, so you're welcome to go back and explore why the rings are the way that they are right now. And learn a little bit about those edge-on rings. It's more of a novelty to see them like this. It doesn't really last long. Within a year, we'll be looking more at the southern part of the rings again. I shouldn't say again. It'll be the first time in like 15 years that we've seen the southern rings like that. But even still, we'll be looking at a better frame of reference for those rings, and we'll be able to see more of them. But I'm kind of fascinated. I've never really seen the rings like this. I was too young and wasn't involved in astronomy, you know, in like 2009 when this first happened. So really cool to see this. And the reason why it takes so long is because Saturn goes through its seasons, and it's only during Saturn's equinoxes that we get to see the rings edge on like this. And Saturn's orbit, meaning it goes through a full season, cycle of seasons once every 29 years. That's how long it takes to get around the sun. So really cool. Collect some more data. I still see that shadow in our live view, so it's hanging on. Oops. Like I said, around 3:30 we will be wrapping up the talk tonight. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. T-Studio asks, how many seasons does Saturn have? And what's cool is it's the same number as us. Saturn goes through, and this is all because it's tilted. Saturn has like a 26-degree axial tilt, and Earth has something like a 23-degree axial tilt. And just like the Earth goes through its 4 seasons, Saturn will go through 4 seasons as well. It'll go through your winter solstice, then vernal equinox, summer solstice, and autumnal equinox, and back again. But that whole cycle plays out over its orbit just like the Earth. Our orbit takes 1 year, or 365 days. Saturn's orbit takes 29 Earth years. So 1 Saturn year equals 29 Earth years. So same amount of seasons, it just takes a lot longer for it to traverse its orbit and get through those seasons. So in a given human lifetime, if you were on Saturn, let's say you were living on Titan, like we're viewing the Titan transit tonight, you would only experience those seasons maybe 3 times. So only like 3 summer solstices or 3 winter solstices and so on. Pretty fascinating. Great question. This next batch of data I will process for you again as soon as it's finished. Let's see, did it finish? Not quite. It's getting there. Another 500 frames, and then we will process that data. I think the shadow's still hanging on based on what I'm seeing in the live preview. Almost there. Last few frames coming in now. All right, I think that's all of them. Yep, okay. Let's process these ones. I will let you know when that frame gets updated in the lower left. It'll take me a minute just to process the data. This data is coming from 3:20 in the morning, so like I said just a little minute ago. And we'll get it processed for you in just a minute. And we'll see where that shadow ended up. Like I said, I think it's hanging on, and it should hang on just a little longer as the transit event ends. All right, still seeing that shadow in the live view. It's hanging on. And I should have a new frame coming to you in just a moment. All right, so we have a new frame. It's going to post-process now and give us a nice sharpened view. So this is updated for you in the live stream. In the lower left is our latest frame. That shadow is just hanging on there. Oh, thanks for the like, T-Studio. Always appreciate that. Really helps show your support to our channel. I am collecting more data now. I will say that that shadow in the live preview is just barely hanging on at this point. It's getting much harder to see in our view here, but we'll process the data and see what we end up with. Okay, that data just came down, so we will take that, and again, as always, I will let you know when the lower left frame in your feed has updated to new data. This data is from 3:24 in the morning. That will come to you shortly. Okay, I'm gonna analyze. Some more data here. We got a workflow going. It's always good to see. Okay, time to stack. We'll let that play out. Some questions coming down here. Oh, thanks for sharing the stream too, T-Studio. And Jack says, well done. I know there is at least one more transit in October. Not sure when it is or if it's visible from the US. I think it's something like October 6th. I want to say. And question is, will you be live streaming again? Never say never. If it's clear out, I might give another pass at this. And more importantly, if it's clear and conditions are better than they are tonight, seeing and transparency are better, then that would also convince me and nudge me a little. The only problem with it, confirming October 6th, perfect. The only problem I really see is just how northward it is on at the North Pole of Saturn. Tonight it was a little lower, giving us a better chance of seeing it trek across the surface. If I recall, this next one is pretty short compared to this event. So again, never say never, but it's very possible the data that we captured tonight is kind of the limit, I guess, of where we'll get to for these Titan transits. We will see. Okay. I have new data coming into you now in just a moment. The frame is updating now. Just gonna post-process and boom. That should be updated in your feed at this point to our latest data. And yeah, the shadow is still there, still hanging on. All right, what's next here? Let's go keep pulling data. What else does the chat say? Most of Saturn's moons, including Titan, orbit the equator, yet the shadow and Titan seem to be orbiting near the poles. Is this because of Titan's slight inclination and its orbital distance? That is exactly right, Grace. So just like all the planets, as we look across the solar system, they all do have slightly different inclinations. We kind of say that, okay, in our model of how we measure things, because it's kind of all arbitrary, but you gotta have some kind of baseline to organize the solar system. So at the baseline, we're gonna say Sun and Earth are the orbital plane of the solar system. And then from there, you can look at different inclines of the other orbital planes. That's the same effect with Saturn and Titan and the other moons. The difference is that the inner moons, the ones that are very close to Saturn, their inclinations are not going to matter nearly as much as some outer moons. So Titan is very far away compared to the inner moons of Saturn. And because of that, its inclination is dramatic. And it's why these transit events are much rarer compared to events like Enceladus, which there was an Enceladus transit happening tonight. We're not going to see it at our telescope's resolution. But while the Titan transit was going on, we were also if you look up in a simulator, you will see that Enceladus was also transiting Saturn. That's kind of cool. Oh, it is getting cut off. Thank you. We'll bring that down a bit. Thank you for pointing that one out. All right, we got some new data to work with. Let's update that lower left frame. Just take me a couple minutes. Data that I'm gonna start processing now is coming from 3:30. Oops. Why does it do that? Oh wait, no, that's the old data. Hang on. This one is the one I want. Okay. Grid. Analyze. Okay, okay. And just need to stack. I think the shadow is still hanging on in the live preview. I don't think we're done quite yet. Like I said, as long as the shadow is still visible, I'm going to keep taking data. Finish processing? Yes, we did. All right, I'm updating the frame now. Let's see. Post-processing, it'll spit out the new frame, and 3, 2, 1. There it is. That's the latest data. All right. Jack says it is fun to watch double Jovian transits as well. Jovian? Jovian? Jovian. Yeah, I guess it would be Jovian because Jupiter. Yeah, Jovian. Yeah, I have one image out there, I think, of Io transiting. I don't know if there's another moon in that image. But that's a lot easier to do. Those ones come around a lot more often. And just the nature of Jupiter being bigger and closer, it does give us some more opportunity to image those. So I'm right there with you. Those ones are fun to watch. All right, so where are we at now? All right. See if I can adjust the view here a little bit for you. Bring it back to center. I think we're getting close. I have one batch of data coming through. It's almost done. But I think I'm going to wait until the second batch here to really see where we're at. So as soon as this one's done, I'm going to start a new data set. Yep. I think it's still there. I don't know about you all, but I think I still see the shadow a little bit on the disk of Saturn. And this is in the live preview. I think it's hanging on a little. Oh, we're almost at 1,000 views. That's awesome. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I don't know, for some of you, I might be a little bit earlier than it is here. In New York, we're just passing 3:30 in the morning at this point. So it's great to have you all tuning in. Yeah, isn't that crazy, Jack? Jack says, looks like October 6th is the last visible Titan transit for 14 years. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think that showcases how big of a deal that inclination of Titan is to Saturn's equator. How significant that is. So some of the smaller moons of Saturn, certainly that are closer, they do this all the time, and we see it. But alignment has to be just right for us with Titan to see this phenomenon. And to be fair, it has been happening several times this year. We're only just catching it now, but in some ways that's good because we're pretty close to opposition too. Yeah, there's been some even lower, closer to the equator transits of Titan over the last several months. There's some really nice pictures that you can check out from that transit event. All right, I think we have new data that just popped. Yep. So let's see what the new data looks like. I'll pop in here. And okay. New data about to come in that lower left-hand view in 3, 2, 1. Oh, yep, shadow's still there. This is the latest data and it's hanging on. Oh my goodness. It's so cool though to scrub through the YouTube stream and see that little processed image of the trans event change. That's so cool. How neat. I can't wait to put that into a video. All right. I may be losing my mind a little bit about this at this point, but you know, is what it is. I'm recording another 1,000 frames again. We'll see where things are at with this next batch in a few minutes. You reach a point when you've been up for a while over the course of the day that You kind of hit your limit, and I think I'm getting there, but I am going to persevere. I'll find a second wind here in a moment, probably. At least enough to get things shut down once we wrap up the stream. But everything happens late at night this year. If you go back to our live stream with the lunar eclipse, that was also a late night, or well, really early morning like this event. So late, at least early morning for us in New York, but a little challenging sometimes. I think we might stream on November 23rd when the rings go nearly edge on, and they might disappear, or at least through a telescope like ours, they might not be visible at all. We might stream that just to see the novelty of a ringless Saturn. But what's great though is throughout the fall here, Saturn is a wonderful target to observe. Opposition is in a couple days. Well, actually, it's tomorrow. Opposition is tomorrow for Saturn. So this is a really great time to observe Saturn because it's bright, it's close to us, or the closest it can be to us. So this is opportune. I just wish the sky conditions were a touch better. That would have helped us out a little bit tonight, but opposition is helping too. All balances out. All right, new data. Hooray. Let's see, this data I'm going to pull now comes from 3:42 in the morning. So like pretty much right now. And we'll analyze, place, then analyze. Okay, stacking the data. All right, data is stacked, and I'm about to update that frame for you. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that data should be updated. Oh wow, and look at that, the shadow's still there. Oh, that's so cool. How neat. Okay, let's do, wait, I think I have another batch of data. I'm just trying not to miss the very tail end of this. So yeah, okay, another 1,000 frames are coming in. We'll let that play out and then I'll collect another 1,000 and we'll see where we're at again in the next few minutes. Oop, our Saturn's drifting quite a bit. There we go. The cool part about this is I can totally see how I can set up a system and organize the live stream a bit for future events like this, like the Galilean moons transiting Jupiter. I do see a pathway to organize the stream for ones like this. All right, let's see, that data should be done. Let's do another 1,000. See where we're at. Even in the live stream though, I swear I still see a shadow in the live feed. We're right on hugging that edge of the North Pole of Saturn. So maybe this will take us right towards 4 in the morning. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's refresh this page. There it is, okay. So Titan is just below and to the right of the shadow in your image. Oh, really? You can see it? I've been careful not to like officially confirm that when the images have come through, just because like I'm not set up really to like analyze it all that well. But so you say just below and to the right. Okay, just below and to the right. You know, I think you're right. I think there is something there that is not just the shadow. And I really want to see what that looks like when I combine all this into a video. And it just makes me really wish it was clearer so that we could see maybe the presence of Titan a little bit better. That'd be so cool. All right. Got some new data for you. I'm going to process it now. All right. It's this one coming from 3:48 in the morning. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Cancel. There we go. Otherwise. I am zooming out just because as soon as this next batch of data gets collected, I'm going to adjust the view in our telescope image, just because it's getting close to the edge of the sensor. So I gotta adjust tracking. All right, that's done. Let's put this into our pipeline here. Lower left hand image updating in 3, 2, and I'm trying to time this and it's not working. The processing is inconsistent, I guess, but yeah, still there. Still there. All right. Now I gotta make a quick adjustment to the telescope image. Get it away from that sensor edge. Perfect. And we'll zoom in again. Record some new data. Oh, thanks, Jack. Jack is updating us, saying that the transit should be over in about 13 minutes. So yeah, I guess that does bring us right around to 4 o'clock. Nice. That's not a bad wrap up. We started around 1, ending around 4. Not bad at all. Okay. Another 500 frames and we'll have some new data to share. Almost there. Grab some more of that and put this. Next data batch coming from 3:53 a.m. Stuck. One, two, 437 for Titan. Trying to decide if we continue to that half hour. Given that I'm not super seeing Titan in my process data, I'm not sure if I will continue. But I guess if enough people in the chat wish me to carry on past the shadow transit, I am open to that. What's another half hour anyhow, right? Okay. Data collecting there. I think I'm ready for the next frame to drop. Yep. Okay. Ready stacks. Pop this in there. Data coming through in 3, 2, and a 1. There it goes. Okay, where are we at here? Okay, another 500 frames for this round. Let me pull up one of my Saturn images, the actual, yeah, the latest one. Let's try this one. I'm going to try punching into it and see. Oh wait, that's not going to work. I gotta rethink that. This is what we gotta do. Save the latest one into finals. Okay, now I think I can check that out. It's a PNG. Yep, that'll work. You know, there's just so much noise going on. It's like, could that be Titan when I view this like exported image? But then there's like another pixel speck right nearby that's like, I don't think you're Titan. I do not have high confidence for any, for really Titan showing up right now in our data. Only the shadow is what I can spot. But again, maybe. Uh-oh, what happened there? Why did it do that? Let's reformat this. Oops, everything's changing here. Okay. Bring that down now. All right. We're closing in on the end based on our timing here. Looks like 4:04 is when it wraps up, so just another few minutes of the shadow transit. Thank you, Jack, for posting those specifics in the chat. Uh-oh. Hang on a second here. Did we crash? What's going on, Saturn? Where did you go? Oh no! We didn't quite make it! Oh, that's upsetting. That is actually quite a bit upsetting. Oh, we could have eked out just a little more time. No, we crashed. Oh, sorry everyone. Unfortunately, the motor drive stopped working as it made it close to the mount. So I think you probably saw, like I was working on something else, so I only saw like from behind my window I was focused on. Saturn just kind of like jet away. It was a little bit strange on how fast that happened, but I guess with this magnification we're at, that makes sense. Either way, Saturn has zoomed away from us, and I don't think I'll be able to get it back. We didn't quite make it on our mount. That's like so frustrating, honestly. Is that it just had a little more time? We only needed like a couple minutes. Oh dear. Okay, but even still, to wrap things up, let me give you at least one more frame of data. Oh my gosh, this is wigging out like crazy. We'll zoom this in again. And then I will prep one more frame for you. Use this one. It'll just take another minute or two, and we'll have that new frame to end the stream with. Again, sorry that happened. Oh, sorry, some good soup. I wish we could continue. I unfortunately need to be back up here tomorrow, so I do have to get some sleep tonight. And at this point, I don't think it'll be worth it to do the whole, the flip of the telescope. Given I'll have to do a whole realignment. The scope is not a go-to, so it's fully manual, which is fine. Like it works well. This is one of my favorite telescopes to use, frankly. But it does take a little longer to get things centered. All right, I can analyze that. And we will stack that up as soon as it's done. Stack. We will end the stream. With one final frame. So what I just did is I just adjusted to look a little bigger for you for the last frame we're going to do. So that's still the old frame from a little while ago. And yep, we should have that data. Okay, let's go back to this. And ready stacks, bring this in. And new frame updating in 3, 2, and 1. And that is our last frame of the show. Oh, it'd be good if you could see it without it getting cut off, probably. There you go. All right, that's our last frame for tonight. Let me just check chat one more time. Ran a 12-inch Alvin Clark at Washington State University back in the late 80s, early 90s. Been there, done that. That's awesome. Oh, very cool. Yeah. It's like, I guess depending on if you're talking about the crashing or just the manual adjustment, it's like, yeah, at this point in the game, if it was like half an hour ago, I think I would have considered it. But at this point, it's just, we're too late in the event. But great to meet a kindred spirit. All right. Thank you all for tuning in to our Transit of Titan live stream this evening. I'm pretty happy with the results that we got. And again, hopefully tomorrow I'll just have a solid frame to push out to social platforms for you to see in better detail than compressed over a live stream. And then maybe we can get a video piece together in the near future as well for you to check out so you can see the shadow trek across. And as always, definitely look forward to future live streams. We are going to have a series of STEM programs coming up in the coming weeks. And AstroFest is coming up October 3rd through the 4th. And we'll have all sorts of talks, and those will be streamed on YouTube as well if you can't make it up to the observatory. So look out for AstroFest, look out for future observing live streams. Incidentally, AstroFest is also International Observe the Moon Night, so you never know, maybe we'll do some lunar observing too. At this point though, we will shut down the stream. Thank you again, and as always, look up and dream big.